Greetings. Let me start by saying thank you for joining today's Amplify Your Impact session. This is a webinar series designed to help you highlight digital skills and tools to share your message with your community better. Future Generation University's mission is to advance research, learning, and action towards inclusive and sustainable change worldwide. We do that in a number of ways, through education, through action research, through peer learning, just like what we're going to be doing here today. We're so pleased to welcome you. If you haven't already, please share your name and where you're joining us from in the chat. Kris has gone over the little housekeeping details, but please be sure to utilize that Q&A or the chat function so that we can keep you involved in the conversation. And this is a reminder that this session is being recorded, and both the recording and the presentation deck will be shared with you in the coming week. So with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Kris to take us through KoboToolbox.
Thank you, Deborah. I am going to have you go ahead and, if you can, scan that QR code that you have on your screen, so that you can participate in today's session with me virtually. And I'm going to let you know, I would highly suggest that you use the European Union server versus the Global Toolbox server. I will explain more later, and if you could, please use your personal email address to set up your account, not your future.edu email. So really quick, if you could go ahead and scan that code, use the European Union server, and we're gonna move on from here. All right, and use your personal email address. So today we're going to talk about what is KoboToolbox, why you could use it or why you should use it, who uses it, and how to use it. So that's our orientation for today. So KoboToolbox is a free, and it has paid upgrades. And you can see on the screen on the right-hand side what you get for free. So it is a free data collection tool. It is kind of like, I don't want to say it's like Google Forms on steroids, but sort of, because you will find as we go along, it has multiple things that are involved in it. And so you can develop questionnaires in there, surveys, if you are using a survey. And we are very particular about the use of the term survey versus questionnaire. Survey usually means that you have a pool of people that you need to administer a questionnaire for, but you are being uniform in that administration of that survey. Versus a questionnaire, which is more targeted. So sometimes you'll hear a different kind of use of vocabulary between questionnaires and surveys, but it works for both. It can help you collect data, do automatic comparisons of data. It is multilingual, which is very helpful. And it also can do some live translation, or it can do some translations in app, which is also very helpful. And you can work together with multiple people on a survey/questionnaire. So what things to be mindful of in a free account is that you do have limited storage. 1 GB is not very big, especially if you're using anything that is collecting photos and or videos. So just be aware there are limitations when it comes to using that. You can, of course, but you can do unlimited projects, data collection. You can do online or offline data collection. There's an Android application that you can have on your phone. So if you're going out into the field, you can use the application versus having to use like a laptop, which is helpful. It has 10 minutes of automatic transcription, which can be helpful depending on if you use there's a recording function in it for interviews that you can use, and it does transcription of those. And also, you can see the rest of it, 6,000 characters of machine translation. So they're putting a lot of things into one. Kobo is also a nonprofit organization all in of itself. It was brought together in which to meet the need of this particular type of data collection in the field. So, why would you use KoboToolbox? It's customizable. You can build your questionnaires, your surveys. You can look at other people's surveys to help you do that. It and you have, I mean, you can build really extensive ones. There's not like a limit to how big your questionnaire can be. I think it's the limit of who may read it is actually more of your limit there. It processes your data automatically. So when you enter in the information, it will automatically start the process of comparing when it comes to quantitative data. So if it's able to see the quantitative like things, it will already start to do the graphs and things automatically for you. It works online and offline, which is helpful. You can have that questionnaire, do your collection, and then once you connect it, it uploads. Um, and it's often used in disaster mapping. So when you're trying to find out what the situation is, this type of tool is very helpful in gathering information of what is the current situation. Because you can easily put in GPS location markers as well. So now we're going to move on to who uses KoboToolbox. And so we have humanitarian aid organizations that use it all the time, usually in needs assessment. Multiple nonprofit organizations use it. Researchers use it because, again, surveys and questionnaires are like the backbone of research. And then which is like connected or UN agencies and other international organizations use this. And it's because they can create, if you have a business account with Kobo, you can create questionnaires, share them with people. They can then administer that questionnaire. So as an organization that is creating maybe grants or programs with others for them to administer, this is one way of which to do monitoring and evaluation, because they are creating how they're doing the metrics that need to be looked at. Then people go out into the field and fill those out with the metrics, and that's how they can have the information live with that organization. And it is designed to be used globally. The account that the university has with Kobo, like the person that we work with is in Colombia. And so this is an organization that truly is global. And they're looking at how to make it easier and more efficient for people to collect information in the field specifically. Now, when I mean where can it be used, we already said it can be used globally, but we're looking at the areas that it can be used. And so I previously mentioned measuring indicators. So how different organizations may have something that they're looking as far as their metrics of change. And so that is one of the things you're looking at, and how people look at measuring indicators. Those can be qualitative or quantitative. When you're looking at data, quantitative is something that is very easy in which to process. Qualitative data is very rich, but it can be difficult in which to visualize because it's hard to be able to make comparisons on a uniform basis. And so you have to build parameters on qualitative data in which to create those visualizations, whether you're looking for keyword indicators or other things that you're looking at in which to identify certain indicators within a richer environment of information. Because qualitative data has a tendency to be more storytelling, interviews, there's going to be much more heavy text. And this is one of those ways of you have to qualitative data is a little bit different in how it is processed. Kobo does not process qualitative data though. It only processes quantitative data. Um, needs basis based surveys, or I would challenge you here and say finding successes. This is how we're using it, is looking for the successes that we find in our communities. So it's a way to capture information, whether it is beforehand, during, or after, such as in monitoring and evaluation. So now I'm going to get into how to use KoboToolbox. So the first thing that you want to do here is, and we're going to be going over this, is you need to select a server. The servers that are offered are the global server and the EU server. Now, uh, the global server is located physically in the United States. The EU server is located physically in Ireland. The reason why there's a difference here is because of the GDPR law that exists in Europe, meaning there is a law that governs the use of data produced on EU citizens. And that means any data that is produced or is about EU citizens needs to be housed and located in the EU. Now, both of these servers are exactly the same. They function the same, they have the same securities, everything that you can do is the exact same thing. The issue here is they cannot communicate with each other. So once you create it's basically two servers that work in parallel. You can have some information over here in the EU, or you can have an account over on the global server. Those servers are exactly the same, except for the location based off of the needs of one law. And I would argue that the EU server is in case you ever may need to use or have information on someone in the EU in order to make sure that you're in compliance, because the fines against violation of GDPR are quite large. And so my personal opinion is that the EU server may be better in case of any type of scaling that you may have where you may need to have information that is regarding an EU citizen. Now, those are the two things. So the servers are the same, the location's the different. One is being governed and meets the compliance of a particular law that is functioning in the EU. All right. Now, creating a questionnaire. We're going to go over how to create a questionnaire, deploy a questionnaire, collect data, and review it. So that's where we're going to be going in the hands-on portion of today. So our step one is going to be, and I'm going to be stop changing my screen here in just a moment. We're going to look at step one, step two, and step three. Step one is creating a questionnaire, a new project is how they say it. And we're going to determine how we are going to create our project. And then we are going to go ahead and name it and like create the parameters around it. All right. So once you're inside of Kobo, this is the screen that you're going to come into. I'm just going to show you a few different things. Like over here, this is your account. If you're wanting to look at account settings, if you want to change your language, like I said, there's multiple languages here that you can use. Account settings are here. This has your name, what country you're in, what type of organization you're with, right here. And then you have like this is your profile, and then under here is security, which is where you would go ahead and we're going to what email address you're using, if you're going to change your password and things like that. That's underneath the security here. Underneath over here on the right-hand side, let me get my over here on the right-hand side. So for today, right under here, so this is the projects. Under here, you have my projects. So this is where you can see the things that I created for today. Or actually, one of them is something that I did for the university. And that's a template. But here, I'm going to show you how to create one. So we're going to do new. We're going to click on new. And we are going to build from scratch. And we are going to title this Test Template for Amplify. And here I'm just going to put demonstration. Now, this is required. You have to say what this is for. This is for educational services for higher education. If you click on this, there are multiple things that these are listed under public administration, arts, recreation, health, all sorts of things. And then also required is where I'm at. So I'm in Spain. And so I'm going to go ahead and create my project. All right. So you can see this is my title. So here's where we go ahead and start building a questionnaire. This right here, when you click on this, it's going to add a question. And when you add a question, you click on it, and it has this bank of options. And so this is regarding how is the answer, what is the answer that you're looking to capture? Is it going to be the options of selecting many? Are you going to have text? Is it numbers? Does it require a decimal point? Is it a date? Time, date, and time. Point is very important. The indication here is this is a map. So this is going to be your GPS coordinates specifically. You can collect photos. You can do audio recordings, videos. This is mapping things out. You can do all sorts of multiple things here. Okay. We're going to start with a text. So my first question, I'm going to say respondent name. All right. And now I want to show you, because this is the back side, we're on our creation side. Now we want to see what it looks like. So you click on the eye, and this is what it looks like for someone who's filling it out. And this is something that you want to go back and forth in to see, okay, is this looking the way I want it to look when it comes to filling out the form? Because you can create the questionnaires, you can have collapsible sets of questions and all sorts of fancy stuff. We're going to not be fancy today, and we're just going to be very basic. So I'm going to exit out of here and then back here. And then right here, this is where I'm going to go ahead and click, and I'm going to add another question. So here we're going to put point, and this is recording your current location. You can say, or record your respondent location. All right. Now, if I click on this, And then up here, create a group with selected questions. This is if I have if I want a bunch of questions to be put together. So I can go ahead and click on this right here. And this means I'm going to group. So I had clicked on my question, and now you can see when I click on this question, and I'm over here on the left. I'm over here on the left part. It's creating this to go dark. And then when you hover over it, it says create group with selected questions. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that creates the group. Now I can rename the group of question as required or however you want to group these questions. You can create them by topic or however you would like to do it. But this is one way of creating your questions. Now, I'm going to stop sharing here. So we talked about where you start, how you're going to build it. I built it from scratch, and then creating the question. Now, step 4 is going to be about deploying. And then step 5 is going to be about actually collecting data. All right, so this is where we're headed. I'm going to go back to my projects. So I have this Amplify for Your Impact Intro to KoboToolbox. This is the draft that I created for today. So here I'm going to show you what the form looks like. And I'm going to show you here the preview. One of the things that I wanted to point out is make sure that you have informed consent. At the university, we require informed consent for research. And so you want to make sure, based off of who you work with, what type of consent needs to be achieved in gathering information with the different stakeholders. In this particular one, we have what we consider to be the consent that we use for success mapping. So you can see here, I have informed consent, agree, don't agree, I agree with conditions. What are my conditions? Signature, participant name. I have questions for you all, and I'm going to share this with you in just a minute. And so this is what my little questionnaire for today is, and this is in the preview. So here, like I said, I want to deploy this. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy. This means I'm launching this questionnaire. All right, so now it's live. Now that it's live, there's different ways that you can collect your data. So I'm going to click on this right here to show you the different ways that you can collect your data, whether it is online, offline submissions, online only, single submissions, once per respondent. So like you say you send this out to someone and they only get one chance in which to respond. That's it. You can have an enabled web form with a code so people can scan and do that view only. Or like I said, if you want to go ahead and do the application and you want to use this as an application out in the field on a mobile device. So, and then also allow submissions to this form without a username or password. Today, I'm going to go ahead and enable this because I'm going to go ahead and share this link with you all so that you can go ahead and fill this out. Now, I want to see over here. These are the other things that you can do with this project. This is how you can download information. You can share this. I can share this with different people. I can clone this. But basically this means the clone is I am copying this project as a starting point. I can use this as creating a template, something else that is very helpful. Um, and then you can have translations of the same thing. When you're creating these different forms, I wanted to show you here on the left-hand side under library. I find it's helpful to be able to see other people's work so that if I can't figure out how to create a question, maybe someone else already has. And so that's one way to do things like that. I'm going to explain this in just a second here. So I'm going to click over here on the left-hand side on library. And this is my personal library. So these are all of the ones that I have been accessing on this account. So I have a clone here, and I have also, and I'm going to show you this clone in a minute. So this is my personal library, and then there's public collections. This is very interesting, in my opinion. I like data, so you guys can understand how nerdy I am. And here you will have collections of information and that are being shared by practitioners across the globe. Okay. And so earlier, when I was looking at my questionnaire, I thought, what might be interesting to show you all as a possible questionnaire? And I looked underneath this Wildlife Conservation Society, clicked on that, and I saw that they had created a Kobo practice survey. And so this is a tool that they have gone ahead and created for people to practice on. So I thought this was extremely helpful or could be helpful to you all. And it's a total of 20 questions. It was created in October of this last year, and it has a lot of different questions, like how to do, like, what is it? This is a question versus that has a date, one with text, different things on how to put in locations. So sample questions, but basically so you can see how the questions are formulated in Kobo. All right. So what I did is up here on the right-hand side, so I have clone projects, create a project, and then more actions. So I cloned this project because I thought, hey, this would be interesting for you all to see. So I've already done this, but I cloned it. I can do it again, just so you can see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and click on clone, and it says clone template. Go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and add a B just so I name it differently from what it was. And click on OK. All right. And so now if I go to my library, this template is now underneath my library as well. So I had the clone that I had created earlier and the one that I just created right now. And this is, as I said, a great way to look at how to change, because like when you're like, oh, I would like to do a question like this, but I don't know how to do it. You can probably find another questionnaire out there that has what the style of question that you're looking at, and then you can go ahead and follow the example that was given. And so I think it's important to be able to learn from other people's shoulders as well. Now, I'm going to go back to my library. I am going to go back to my projects. Actually, I'm going to go back to my projects because I want to show you something here. This is my library. Notice there are 7 different items here currently. If I go to projects, it's different. These are things that I have created. These are things that I have access to under library. They're different. It's having access to other people's information and the information of your information. So that's a distinction that you should notice between my projects, my library. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back to this. It's deployed. Um, so I'm the owner. I want to share this. I don't want to add users. Anyone can view this form. All right. Now, so we talked about the form, the steps, and we still have to go over how to collect the information that's coming. So we talked about the types of questions, grouping. Now I want to show you how to move a question, and I already showed you the library. So I want to be able to show you the moving a question as well. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this. This is why we always have presentations to follow, right? And I'm going to reshare my screen or here. Now back underneath my form, even though that this is a deployed form, that's fine. I'm going to edit it in the form builder. Now here, this is where if I wanted to move something, do you see how there's little arrows that pop up? I can move entire groups if I click on that and move them. I'm going to move them up. So now I have moved that up. I'm going to move my participant. I made a mistake and I'm going to go ahead and move my participant name back up. So when it's has this arrows, that's how you can go ahead and move your questions around. So say if you create a bunch of questions, um, maybe my I want different things ahead of each other. Like I want evidence ahead of the question area one. That's fine. So this is how you can go ahead and move things around. I'm going to save that and now, right. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and get you a link. While you're filling it out, I want to show you what it's like if you don't have people fill things out and you fill it out yourself. Over here on the right-hand side is where you click on open. This is where you could go ahead and fill something out. Say you're going to administer this instead of having someone else do this for you, like directly on their own. So here I'm going to say yes, with conditions, no photos, please. Like just to show you I'm going to put my name as my signature, my true name, just so you know, is Christine. What would you want to ask my community? Um, what question matters most to my work? So you guys are getting all the things inside of I'm going to go ahead and put Barcelona. And I'm just going to go ahead and I know where this is. That's Plaza Catalunya. And you can share a thing. You don't have to, and this is where you go ahead and submit. Okay. I'm going to go back to the other one. I'm going to look at my data. Oh, we have two people. Bill, thank you so much. Now, here's the fun thing. This is where the processing comes in. You can have a table of information, which is what we have, reports. When you have questions that are formulated specifically for quantitative data, um, so all of the, and what I mean by that is that there's easy comparisons between one data point and another. It's already defined. All of these reports happen in real time. You can have a gallery of photos based off of what's here and a map. The map here is me because I put in mine. So this is where the information comes together. Now, previously last week, we had, I'm going to stop sharing because I'm going to show you what this can look like in our context of success mapping. And this is, we have our table of information. We have the report, and this is like there's 100 or 206 responses to this. So we have all of our data, like when it was administered, all of the information, the names. And like I said, so this is where like, okay, how many respondents were male versus female, quantitative data. And this can also be helpful, but you have to be really, really careful about how many, like, see how we have frequency here under 26 and we have farming. If the people that are administering the questionnaire agree to simplifying terms, it can be useful because you have some people saying farmer, some people saying farming. Those could probably be grouped together. If we go further down here, commercial farmer, commercial farming, the fact that you have lowercase, mixed lowercase and uppercase basically creates three different data points. And this could be one data point. So instead of having three separate, I could have had one. This is where qualitative and quantitative data is really different. You have to go through and help those things out. But this is exactly where qualitative data becomes more hard to process because we have large chunks of text for 206 respondents. It's very hard. I mean, you have to process that in a much different way than having a report where you can, see graphs. Then I'm going to scroll down here, but so this is what you can see. You have, certain things that were pre-identified, and so how they went ahead and responded. In the map, this is, for example, the map of respondents for this particular questionnaire of agriculture in Uttarakhand, India. So, and you can scroll in, you can click on them, and it gives you a basically the dossier of the respondent and pictures automatically loaded. The issue, so this is great when it's all a closed environment. So I can't, only people inside of my network that I share this with can see this. No one else can see this. The only way for people to see this in a public way is if I go ahead and download this and put it into a Google map, or you can build what's called an API bridge between KoboToolbox and say a platform like ArcGIS. But that takes a lot more skills than we can go through today. But this information like this is how we went ahead and created a map last week or 2 weeks ago with Gauri's ecotourism questionnaire. All right, so that's the presentation as far as like hands-on, this is how it works. Do you have any questions?
Here's a good question. In what situations is KoboToolbox a better resource than Google Forms? And I can already imagine we talked a little bit about places where Google may not be accessible in some countries.
it has different launching capabilities. So online, offline, you can't use a Google form offline. You would have to, that's one way of doing it. Um, you can do some things are very similar. Um, I think if I were to compare this tool to another tool, this is a free version of SurveyMonkey. This is very similar to that. So, like you could, but it is an open source tool. So the best thing here, and the reason why this has, I'm showing you the baseline. You can connect this through, if you have coding skills, you can connect this with other online tools that can create much more rich visualizations of data, which is where the university hopes to is going to be going with this with our success mapping in the future. That is not something you can do with Google. So,
And then there's a question about some apprehension about having like multiple ways of doing the same thing. So I already heard you explain that Kobo is open source. It is a free tool. It is accessible offline, and those are some ways why, like when you're making the decision to have a survey instrument or a questionnaire instrument, that Kobo is a good fit. But I know you've been balancing this in the work that we're doing for the university using KoboToolbox, connecting it to Google Maps and other things. So can you speak about how you are alleviating worry about adding KoboToolbox to your roster of tools?
um, I think there's more security on this than what your personal Google account will have. Let me put that out there. Um, the fact that it has Kobo amongst humanitarian organizations and UN organization is pretty much the standard. Whereas Google is, I would say, more of an entry-level product. And so that's where I would make the comparisons of what tool is comparable or how you would use this. This is something some of our alumni have already encountered and or used this because they are working with large humanitarian organizations, and this is how they collect data. And so it is easy, it can be easy and it can be complicated all at the same time. It depends on the level of how you engage it. So it has a sophistication that can be enhanced that Google can't at a free level. So I think that's where this is one of those things of you have to determine um, if you're in construction, do you use a hammer and a nail or do you use a nail gun? This is kind of like one of those situations. You have to determine at what point, is it more effective for you to be using a more sophisticated tool than something that is much more manual. So that's, I think, the best way I can describe it. I could, I mean, little known fact about me, I actually worked in construction for 2 years when I was very young. And when you're having to hand nail things or hand do anything, it's because you're hoping to finesse something really specific. And this has the ability to do both. It's it's a nail gun that can really be a finish nailer if it needs to be. I guess I'll put it that way. Um, so I'm gonna reshare my screen because we are coming up on the hour. Um, Here's the QR code for the poll. And if I didn't have a chance to answer your question, or if you felt like there was something else that you would like to ask, please go ahead and send me an email at kris.reiser@future.edu. I'd be more than happy to answer your question. And I hope that you found this helpful um, in how you can see where your work is. There's a reason I'm going to put my little plug in here. There's a reason why I asked you all to use a personal account. Those that participate in the alumni success mapping project, we will be using your future.edu email because you would have an upgraded account if you join that any of those projects. So that's why we wanted to create a separation there.
Well, Kris, let me just take an opportunity to say thank you so much. This really was a wonderful presentation and such a lovely like little appetizer with a more of a main course down the line for our current and future alumni to get to utilize this tool in their communities. Um, and thank you to everyone for participating. Thank you for your engagement throughout this season of the series. Follow the QR code to fill out the postseason survey. Lindsay, thank you for your ongoing technical support of this program. And we hope to bring this back to you guys in a season 3 in the fall. So we will look forward to that day.